Hey guys, we are back with some more MODO Eastside Hockey Manager, and in this one, we have the start of year number 6. And we will start out with the Allsvenskan season preview, and I'm not too sure why there are 2 Allsvenskan season previews here. I guess we'll look at the second one, since I would guess that's the most recent one. So first you have Oskarshamn, then you have Björklöven. Is Luleå a new team? I believe, yeah, they look like they moved down from the SHL. And then you have Södertälje, Mora, Västerås, your MODO Hockey, Karlskrona, Västervik, Vida Hasten, Karlskoga, Tingsryd, Troja, Ljungby, they must be a new team as well, and then Pantern. And now, before the regular season starts, we're just going to go over our lines. At forward, you have Naslund, Jansson, and Schmidt-Svedstrup. The second line, you have Bresnev, Rimsha, and Dyke. Third line, you have Miller, Winquist, Aronson. And the fourth line, you have Trelor, Larson, and Lindberg. On defense, you have Johansson and Makowski, along with Ginning and Norberg on the second pair, Stridsberg and Berglund on the third pair, and then Sixna and McDonald on the fourth pair. And then in goal, you have Olsen and Forsberg. And the top goalies in the Allsvenskan for this season, you have Jesper Wickman of Oskarshamn, David Otter of Björklöven, Philip Gustafsson of Södertälje, Adam Riedeborn of Luleå, Isaac Wallen of Mora, Jonas Johansson of Tingsryd, Arvid Lung of Karlskrona, Emil Kruse of Västerås, Victor Kokman of Vida Hasten, and then Christian Eggstrand of Tingsryd. Top defensemen, you have Jesper Lindgren of Luleå, Kevin Ekman Larson of Karlskoga, Kalle Johansson of your MODO Hockey, Linus Nassane of Tingsryd, Tom Hedberg of Luleå, Jacob Stenquist of Oskarshamn, Mikael Wickstrand of Luleå, Marcus Opburain of Västerås, Kyle Burrows of Västerås, and Adam Plant of Västervik. And left wingers, you have Linus Nordin of Troja Ljungby, and then you have Dmitry Timashov of Luleå, then you have Anton Wedin of Luleå as well, Christopher Bengtsson of Södertälje, Tor Emo of Karlskoga, Emil Lundberg of Björklöven, Emil Gabrielsson of Karlskrona, Glenn Gustafsson of Oskarshamn, Emil Lindgren of Karlskoga, and Alexander Lunsio of Västerås. Top centers, we have the top center in the entire league, Drake Rimsha of your MODO Hockey. And then you have Ludvig Nielsen of Tingsryd, Gustav Franzen of Oskarshamn, Patrick Blomberg of Vida Hasten, Nicholas Lassu of Luleå, Simon Krakula of Björklöven, Lucas Carlson of Södertälje, Oscar Lindberg of Luleå, Emil Smedberg of Södertälje, and Daniel Lundgren of Mora. And the top right wingers, you have Lucas Edmonds of Karlskrona, Kim Rosedal of Oskarshamn, who's one of our old wingers there. Unfortunately, we couldn't re-sign him. Christopher Fish of Vida Hasten, Fabian Zetterlund of Tingsryd, Tobias Lindberg of Oskarshamn, Oscar Stahl Lirinus of Björklöven, Philip Rondal of Karlskrona, Sebastian Kohlberg of Västervik, Linus Gustafsson of Karlskoga, and Victor Hertzberg of Västerås. And top prospects, you have Uma Pettersson, who is currently with the Calgary Flames, Oscar Spinners Nordin, who is with Mora, Simon Robertson with Björklöven, Simon Aho with Björklöven as well, Isaac Rosane with Oskarshamn, Edvin Farnstrand with Tingsryd, Johan Kango with Luleå J20 team, Jonas Sheriff with Vida Hasten, Daniel Georgiou with Västervik, and Sam Eriksson with Luleå J20. And you may have noticed by now, but for the first time this entire GM mode, our player budget finally did not drop. So it was a good thing we got some new owners in here for sure. So now we have a little bit of extra room to work with. Obviously, that's not our salaries at the moment. I think that's because Jacob Winquist is actually with Winnipeg right now at their training camp. But as we go to finances here and check the salary breakdown, yeah, it's still 3.5. It's just, I don't know why it's at 2.8 on this screen and 3.5 on the other. Doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. The finances screen is always going to be the correct one. So now all that is left to do is get the regular season underway. We have games against Oskarshamn, Troja Ljungby, and Vida Hasten to start things out. The Allsvenskan Player of the Month is Västervik's Sebastian Kohlberg, and the Rookie of the Month is MODO's Alex Naslund. There you go. And unfortunately, that's about the only good thing that happened for us this month, as we are currently in 11th. We are sitting outside the playoffs right now, not to the point of being relegated, but we are nonetheless not in a good position. We went 3-4 in the first 7 games of the season. Our power play is at a 26.1%, so that's rolling, but our penalty kill, 57.9. That is unfortunate. And we desperately need a good October, because if we don't put ourselves in a good position early, it's going to get harder and harder to climb back into a good position as the season goes on. We know this. But of course, before we move on with October, we will check out the stats for the first month. Eric Forsberg in one game had a 950 save percentage and a 9 average rating. So I think we'll roll with Forsberg to start out this upcoming month, because Victor Olsson did not do too well. An 875 save percentage in 6 games and a 717 average rating. The 717 average rating is fine, but the save percentage, really not. So we are going to go to Forsberg for the upcoming month. And defensively, you have Kalle Johansson with 5 points, Mikowski with 4, Norberg and Stridsberg with 2, 1 each for Ginning and McDonald. And then Berglund and Sixna have no points. Mellon and Mullen haven't played. And average ratings, you have a 757 for Johansson, a 714 for Ginning, Mikowski, McDonald, Norberg, and Stridsberg. And then you have a 671 for Sixna and a 643 for Berglund. So for the most part, our defensemen are actually doing pretty well. It's just, I think it's mostly the goaltending that was the issue that month, especially Olsen. Or Olsen in particular, I should say. And then as we go to forwards, you have Dyke and Naslund, both with 6 points. 5 points for Janssen, Rimshaw, and Beresnev. 4 points for Miller and Schmidt-Svedstrup. 3 points for Aronson. 1 point for Larson, Lindberg, and Winkvist. And no points for Trelaw. Bernson and Gustafsson had not played yet. And remember also as well, Winkvist was with Winnipeg for the start of the season, which is why he only has 4 games played. Average ratings, you have Alex Naslund with a 757, a 743 for Beresnev and Miller, a 729 for Aronson and Rimshaw, a 714 for Dyke and Janssen, a 7 for Schmidt-Svedstrup, a 643 for Lindberg and Trelaw, 629 for Larson, and a 625, unfortunately, for Jacob Winkvist. And now reviewing the past month of games. The first game of the season against Oskarshamn was a 6-2 win. Then you had a 4-0 win against Troja Lungby, and then a 5-2 loss against Vita Hasten, a 4-2 loss against Karlskrona, a 4-3 loss against Vasteras, and a 3-1 loss against Karlskrona. We end off the month with a win against Mora, but nonetheless not a good month. So now all that is left to do, we just need to simulate this next month and hope that we have some better fortunes, because we definitely cannot afford another month like we just had if we intend on making the top 2, which is definitely my intention for this season. And as it turns out, our own Jonathan Gustafsson has been ranked 99th for the import draft. So maybe we should consider getting him some ice time this season. And the player of the month is Tobias Lindberg of Oskarshamn. And the rookie of the month is Alex Naslund, once again, of your MODO Hockey. So good news, after that month, we are in a much better position than we were before. We are now sitting in 3rd in the entire league with 32 points. We are 10-6-1. And 0 on the regular season so far after 17 games. And in October, we went 6-1-0. So, very good October, obviously, compared to September. And now we will take a look at the updated stats. So, Eric Forsberg played all the games in that month. He is currently 9-2 in 11 games, a 912 save percentage. Much better than Victor Olsson so far this season, with a 764 average rating. And nothing changed about Olsson's stats, so no need to review that. And as for defensemen, you have David Mikowski with 10 points, Johansson with 7, Ginning with 6, 5 for Norberg, 4 for McDonald and Stridsberg, 1 for Berglund and Sixna. And average ratings, you have a 753 for Johansson, a 747 for Mikowski, a 741 for Ginning, a 706 for McDonald, Sixna, and Stridsberg, a 7 for Norberg, and a 647 for Victor Berglund. So for the most part, our defensive core is playing just fine. And at forward, you have Alex Naslund, who, 25 points for Alex Naslund in 17 games. No wonder he is the rookie of the month 2 months straight. And he also has that 824 average rating. I did not think this guy would be this good for us. I mean, he played in 13 games total last year with only 4 points and a 692 average rating. This year, 17 games played so far, 25 points already, and an 824 average rating. Talk about most improved.
I mean, this guy is up for our MVP this year if he continues on this pace. Dyke with 20 points, Rimshaw and Svedstrup also with 19 points. You have 18 points for Janssen, 10 for Winquist, 8 for Beresnev, 7 for Miller, 5 for Aronson, 4 for Larson, 3 for Lindberg, 2 for Trelaw, and Bernson and Gustafsson have not played. And average ratings, of course, you have Naslund with the 824, a 794 for Dyke, a 781 for Schmidt-Svedstrup, a 765 for Janssen, a 753 for Rimshaw, a 721 for Winquist, a 718 for Miller, a 712 for Beresnev, a 665 for Aronson, a 653 for Larson, a 647 for Lindberg, and a 612 for Trelaw. So Winquist has actually gotten his average rating up there a lot because remember before he was around a 625. Now he's up there to a 721. So as of late, he has been playing much better. But we might want to consider getting Jonathan Gustafsson in there for a little bit as he is up for the import draft. So we'll get Trelaw out there for a little bit and we'll put Gustafsson in. Actually, I lied because Schmidt-Svedstrup is actually on international duty right now. So we'll get, I guess, Trelaw back in. And while Forsberg has been playing great, we do need to get Olsen some games because Forsberg can't play all of them. So we'll see what Olsen can do in his first game back since the end of September, and hopefully he can carry over the momentum that we had in October into November. And now, of course, a look at the games that we just had this past month. 3-0 win against Vastervik, a 5-4 loss against Luleå, a 5-4 shootout win against Tingsryd, a 5-1 win against Pantern, a 5-0 win against Björklöven, a 4-1 win against Oskarshamn, a 4-2 win against Troja Lundby, a 5-3 win against Vida Hasten, a 5-3 loss against Södertälje, and a 5-3 win against Karlskrona. Okay, so 3 games into the month, we are going to get Forsberg back in there. Not to say that Olsen has been doing okay, but he hasn't been great, so we're going to get Forsberg back in, of course. And also, Schmidt-Svedstrup is back, so we'll get him back in the lineup, and we'll take Gustafsson out because he has not been great. A 567 average rating in 3 games, not good at all. And the player of the month in the Allsvenskan is Victor Olsen, who played only 3 games, but had a shutout and a win. And the rookie of the month is Liam Dower Nielsen of Vida Hasten. That is a mouthful. He scored 5 goals and had 3 assists in 9 games during that time. So standings update here. We are still in third after November. After 26 games, we are 14, 9, 2, and 1. So definitely not as bad of a position as we were after September, but still not the ideal positions. I really don't feel like going through that round robin tournament again. I would really much rather be in one of those top 2 spots and just compete immediately for a spot in the SHL. And in November, we went 4-3, 1-1. So a pretty good month. Not as good as it could have been, but we stayed in third, so I can't complain too much about that. Now, as we check out the stats, Eric Forsberg with a .913 save percentage in 17 games and a .771 average rating. And Victor Olsen is 3-5-1 in 9 games played with an .892 save percentage and a .756 average rating. So he definitely did much better in that month. Obviously, he was the player of the month. He did much better in that month for sure. His save percentage went up from an .875 to an .892. And as we check out defensemen, 15 points for Mikowski, 9 for Johansson, 8 for Ginning, and 7 for Norberg, 6 for McDonald, 4 for Berglund and Stridsberg, and 2 for Sixna. And average ratings, you have 735 for Mikowski, a 731 for Johansson, a 712 for Ginning, a 704 for McDonald, Norberg, and Sixna, and Stridsberg, and then a 669 for Berglund. Forwards, you have Alex Naslund with 30 points in 26 games and a 788 average rating. You have 26 points for Janssen, 25 for Dyke, 24 for Rimshaw, 23 for Schmidt-Svedstrup, 13 for Miller, 12 for Aronson and Winquist. Looks like Winquist was not particularly good in that month, because I believe as of when we last checked, he had 10 points in 14 games. Yeah, he only had 2 points that month, unfortunately. 11 points for Beresnev, 9 for Larson, 6 for Lindberg, and 4 for Trelaw. And average ratings, we already saw Naslund with a 788, a 773 for Dyke and Schmidt-Svedstrup, a 754 for Janssen, a 727 for Miller and Rimshaw, a 708 for Beresnev, a 691 for Winquist, a 688 for Aronson, a 681 for Larson, a 654 for Lindberg, a 619 for Trelaw, and a 567 for Gustafsson. And now to end things off, we will check out the games that we have just played in November. A 3-0 win over Vasteras, a 5-4 shootout loss against Karlskoga, a 3-2 loss against Mora, a 3-1 win against Vastervik, a 4-1 win against Luleå, a 4-2 win against Tingsryd, a 4-2 loss against Björklöven, a 4-3 loss against Oskarshamn, and a 2-1 shootout win against Troja Leongby. So there you go. That is about it for this one. As we are halfway through the season, we will do the second half of the season in the next one, and hopefully make our way to the playoffs. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one when we continue year number 6.